Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video it is my monthly check-in video. So it is June, it's a new month, and for those that are not familiar with the style of video on my channel, maybe you are new to my channel, I do not weigh myself, I do not use the scale as a measure of progress. I haven't weighed myself on my channel for a very long time. My measure of progress for my weight loss is body composition videos, so progress shots, measurements, and a go try on clothing section at the end. I will start the video by sort of recapping last month, and then I will set some new goals for this month ahead. So how did last month go? It was very hit and miss actually. I started out the month tracking, as I always do, or attempting to track. I had over the previous month struggled with tracking a bit, especially with just the whole process of tracking, and also having quite a few off days with everything that was going on. I think tracking calories for the most part is quite a monotonous thing. It's something you have to do every day. You have to track every morsel of food, and it just becomes almost like a chore, and I think I'd had that sort of negative impact of it. And I just got bored of tracking my calories all the time, bored of weighing my food all the time, and having to sit down either at the beginning of the day or before every meal to sort of weigh everything out and to make sure that it was in NutriCheck. And the other negative side of it was that I found that whenever I got a cross in NutriCheck for an off day, basically when I went over my calories, it was almost in my head like a hall pass to have the rest of the day off. So if I'd got to sort of dinner time and found that I was over my calories, it was almost like oh well, you're over your calories, you may as well have like a dessert or an extra snack in the evening because you're already over, sort of thing. So it was like having a negative impact overall. I do think there's negatives and positive sides to calorie tracking. Obviously with calorie tracking you know exactly how many calories you're eating because you're having to input it every day. However, I just thought that I was at the end of my tether and I just needed to try something else. I feel like I've had no progress for a long time, and I've been struggling with staying on track with my calories and sort of the tracking process itself, that I just feel like I needed a switch up. And there was a lot of people that were sort of doing mindful eating already, and I sort of, I guess, jumped on the hype train with that because there was quite a lot of people doing mindful eating and were having really good results with it. So I just felt if I was at a sticking point with calorie tracking, then maybe why not give mindful eating a try. I mean, at the end of the day, when everyone has finished their weight loss journey, I think their end result is going to be that they want to stop tracking and to take on a more mindful approach to eating. So I don't see the harm in trying it out. So that is what I've been doing the past couple of weeks, but I have seen the negatives and positives to mindful eating as well. I think going into the mindful eating process, it was going to be that I would limit my portion sizes and just be a bit more mindful overall of the actual food that I was eating. So to try and stray away from processed food, obviously because we've got the new kitchen, we have been trying the HelloFresh meals. And I think with the HelloFresh meals, that's encouraged us to eat a bit more healthier and less processed anyway, and to start cooking our meals a bit more from fresh. So I do feel like that ties in really nicely with mindful eating. I have found that with mindful eating, however, that there are the negative sides of it. Obviously, because you're not tracking and because everything is literally estimates, I know that I've been tracking for a while, so I know the amount of calories that are in certain foods, and I'm quite a creature of habit where I eat the same foods the majority of the time, so I know the calories that are in those foods anyway. But there is that sort of thing in the back of the mind where you have got that sort of free-for-all mentality. So if you aren't fully on it, there can be times, like I have found, where I've almost been on a seesaw, where I have been really good, if you will, with restricting my food intake, limiting my portion sizes. However, on the back end of that, I have been feeling quite hungry with having restricted so much because I am also marathon training. So with me creating a deficit with my food and then adding the marathon training on top, I'm creating an even bigger deficit to the point where I'm like running low on energy, if you will. So most mornings I was finding that I was waking up feeling really tired despite having like 7-8 hours sleep. And it just didn't feel like I was recovering that well. despite the food that I was eating. So yeah, there's been negatives and positives to it. I think for now, because I haven't given mindful eating that long, I am still going to at least try it for the rest of this month. And then I'll reevaluate whether or not the sort of negatives and positives outweigh the negatives and positives of calorie tracking and go from there. So I am going to stick with mindful eating, but what I will say is that I have been speaking to a couple of people that have tried to lose weight while they've been marathon training. I have seen a couple of magazine articles because I've got the Women's Running magazine and the Runner's World magazine, and I've spotted a couple of articles in there where people have been asking about weight loss with marathon training. And a lot of the time the advice is that it's not suggested to try and lose weight while you're training for a marathon, just purely because with the long distances and the strain on your body and the recovery and things like that, it's not ideal for you to be restricting and taking away that energy that you would be using for your long runs. So I think ultimately I've decided at the moment that the marathon is the bigger goal for me right now, and that weight loss, as hard as it is to say, is going to have to take a back seat for the time being whilst I get the marathon out of the way. I think what I've come up with is that I am going to try and eat around maintenance calories and then have my marathon training be the deficit for that. I know there have been quite a lot of people that have had success with losing weight while they're marathon training, but I do think that I need to make sure that I don't go into the danger of negatively impacting my training runs by having too big of a deficit. So I think that's the plan going forward, that I will stay around maintenance calories and allow my marathon training to create that deficit. If I lose weight in the meantime, by weight I mean if I see progress with my body, if my body starts changing and my measurements start going down, then that is fine. And I'm not going to take that as a negative side of things. I am just going to have to be a bit more conscious of how my body recovers and how I'm feeling overall, because at the moment some of my training has been impacted by the fact that I've got a real lack of energy. So over the last, I'd say, week or so, it has been me trying to find that balance with not eating too much, because obviously with me not tracking calories and with me only having a rough estimate of the amount of calories that I'm eating based off tracking in the past, I'm in that danger zone of eating too much to the point where I'm gaining weight. So I am going to have to find that balance over the next month or so, but I do think that I definitely need to up my calories and not restrict as much. So I'm going to rely on just my training runs as the deficit for weight loss in the future, and hope that that works out and works itself out. If I don't lose any measurements over the next couple of months as I'm marathon training, I'm not going to be too upset about it, because like I said, my main aim now is to have good training, have a good solid training block in the lead up to the London Marathon, and to have a good time. I mean, I don't know whether I can class running a marathon as having a good time, but I want to be able to do my best at it. So it's going to have to be a priority right now. So yeah, that is the very long-winded story. I know I'm 9 minutes in and I haven't even done the rest of the video yet, but I just felt like I needed to sort of go through all of that. So yeah, with me trying to find my feet with upping my calories at the moment, and with, it's almost like there's no limit to calories because I'm not tracking and having to stick to a certain amount. So it has been hard to find that balance, and some days I do think that I've probably been over as I'm finding that sort of range that I need to be in. It might be that every so often I track a day just to see where I'm at with my calories. I think it might be that I might do like a combined effort. So yeah, that's going to be the plan going forward, so I'm just going to have to see how it goes. In terms of the results from this video, I'm not sure what to expect. Given the fact that I have been trying to sort of figure out how much food I need to be eating and trying to eat a bit more mindfully, but also upping my food to improve my energy and things like that, I don't know whether I've potentially overeaten a little bit or whatever. I am feeling quite bloated in myself, so I'll just have to see how that goes. I have been having I've been having like symptoms of my period without actually getting my period, because I've got my implant you obviously get certain symptoms like sore breasts and things like that. So I have been getting that sort of thing. So I don't know whether that is going on at the moment or not, I'm not sure, but we're just going to have to see what happens with measurements and progress shots and things like that. So we will do all the comparisons for that. If I've gained in measurements, then I don't know what sort of mood I'm going to be in for that, so I guess we'll see how that plays out. But I have maintained my measurements for the last couple of months, so I guess in the back of my mind I am hoping for maintenance at least, but we'll see where we're at. So we're going to do progress shots first, we'll move into measurements, and then we'll do go try on, and I'll come back and I'll sort of recap all of that sort of stuff. So let's get into it. Right, we have measurements next. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm not really hoping for anything. We'll just see whether we maintain, gain or whatever in measurements. So I'm going to speed up the process of actually doing my measurements, and then as always I'll come back to you at the end and tell you what the results are. Okay, I just had to disappear down there just to sort of get all the results in the spreadsheet properly. I have gained in measurements this month. So as always, I've got my go try on clothing section. So I have the summer trousers to try on that I try on every month. So I've got these here, and then I have a pair of skinny jeans that I've been trying on that I've never worn because obviously it's got the tags on. So we will see how we get on with these this month. Okay, that is how the summer trousers are fitting. I do feel like there's a bit more tightness at the top of the thigh. I don't take my measurements at the top of the thigh, so I won't really know until I sort of do the side-by-side comparisons, but it does feel like there's a bit more sort of fat up this end. So yeah. Next is skinny jeans. If the summer trousers feel tight, then obviously these are going to be no better, but we will see anyway. So definitely a bit further down than last month. I can barely get them over my bum, so it feels like I've put a bit of fat on my bum. But that is how they are fitting this month. So yeah, not much I can do about it, just move on and see how I get on next month. Okay, so that is all my measures of progress done. I can't say I'm not a little bit bummed about the fact that I've gained measurements, but I do feel like it was a long time coming. I feel like I've been very lucky over the last couple of months not to gain any measurements during the whole kitchen drama and having off days and on days and not really being here or there sort of thing. So I do feel like it's been a long time coming to have gained those measurements. Obviously it still sucks either way because no one wants to gain weight or measurements, but there's nothing I can do about it at this point other than just move forward from it and hope that I don't gain any more in the process. So I'm not going to ramble on for too long because I feel like I did quite a long intro anyway, and I recapped some of my intentions going forward. So I'm going to be sticking with mindful eating. I'm going to include a few days here and there where I track my calories just to make sure that I'm in the range that I think that I'm in. Like I said, I think I've got a good idea of the calories that are in certain foods, and obviously I can see labels and stuff like that, so I'll have a rough estimate of the sort of calories that I'm on, but I just want to make sure that I'm definitely in the range that I'm in, so that I don't overeat too much. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I did a video a couple of days ago with my Jumpstart June challenge, so I'm doing that with Maria, and a couple of other people have joined in from both of our channels that are also doing the challenge as well. I do think that those challenges aren't too much. They're very, very doable each day. It's not like we've got to carry them over to the next day and then we've got like 30 challenges all built up. It's literally one challenge a day, and they're all challenges that we feel like we need work on. So hydration, including veg and stuff like that in our diet. So that is a main goal for this month, is to make sure that I stick to those daily challenges. The second goal is to make sure that I stick to my training. I have dropped the ball on my training a bit. As I mentioned, I've been struggling with the tiredness and stuff like that, so I am hoping that that improves and I can get my training back up to scratch again. But there have been a couple of runs that I've missed over the last couple of weeks, and I want to make sure that I definitely don't do that. I'm going to be starting my marathon training plan in just over a week, so I do want to make sure that I sort of get back to a consistent routine before I start the actual marathon training plan. And obviously the start of the marathon training plan is about halfway through June, so yeah, it would be ideal to sort of have everything in check and all my ducks in a row sort of thing. So that is going to be my next goal. And then my final goal is sort of tied in with mindful eating, and that is that I want to make sure I pay attention to my body, the way it recovers and how I'm running and things like that, and the food that I'm eating for recovery. So making sure that I get in enough protein, whether that's protein shakes or high protein yogurt or whatever after my run, to make sure that I'm recovering properly for that, and to keep the way I was going with fresh food and making sure that I try and limit and cut out the amount of processed food that I'm having, the processed snacks, eating more fresh fruit and stuff like that as my snacks instead of having like bars and stuff. So yeah, that is going to be a real focus for the next month. So we're going to see how it goes. Weight loss is now on the back burner, so I won't be disappointed if I don't lose any measurements, but I guess with the amount of training that I'm doing, hopefully that will create a deficit to sort of even things out a bit, so that I will maybe lose something over the next couple of months. But I'm just going to have to see how it goes and play it by ear and reevaluate each month. So I'm just going to see how I get on. I'm going to do my best for this month and see how things go. So I'm going to end the video here because I know the video is very long, so give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can always click the notification bell down below and be notified of when my videos go live. Other than that, hope you're all staying safe and well. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend, whenever it is that you're watching this, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye.